foremost. Thank you very much. We will be recording this instructional web, and the webinar itself will be posted for viewing at www.amityfoundation, amityfdn.org/TPA website. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentation. Until then, all participants are muted. You may submit your questions using the chat feature. Just click the More at the bottom of your screen and select Chat to open the chat feature. You may raise your hand using the Raised Hand feature. Also, under the More. For telephone instructions, there's a dial-in number and a toll-free number, the meeting ID, and then the passcode. All of the housekeeping areas have also been listed inside of the chat for your reference. Under the Raised Hand feature, when accessing Zoom through a computer or browser, look at the bottom of your screen. You're going to see those reactions. You'll click on it. You'll see the Raised Hand feature. When you access through the Zoom through a smart at the bottom tab, go to More. You'll see 3 dots. Click on those 3 dots. You'll see the Raised Hand feature. Telephone participation. For anyone experiencing online technical difficulties, telephone dial-in information is also provided in the chat. During the question portion of the webinar, participants may press *9 to raise your hand and then press *6 to unmute. For Spanish interpretation, at the bottom of your screen, there is a globe icon. Click on the icon, select Spanish, and then you'll be able to enter into the interpretation area. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Alan. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the Amity Foundation third-party administrator team. My name is Joanne Sanchez, and I am the project director for the third-party administrator. And Wendy?
Yes, hello, and good afternoon, all. My name is Wendy Thompson. I am the Associate Director of Training and Technical Assistance for third-party. And I'd like to pass this on to Alan.
Alan Richards. Good afternoon again. I'm the Los Angeles Regional Administrator. Okay.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Gray. I'm the Grant Administrator for Amity Third Party Administrator. Carmen, next slide.
Thank you, Carmen. Care First Community Investment. In June 2021, the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors approved $187 million in funding for CFCI programs, $100 million in CFCI funds, and $87 million in American Rescue Plan funds. Funding is distributed in 2 manners, via county departments and via third-party administrator. Next slide. About the third-party administrator, through a competitive bid process, Amity Foundation was selected to act as third-party administrator to manage and distribute a portion of funds included in the CFCI spending plan and non-CFCI funds for grants to justice focused community-based organizations. Amity will be responsible for distributing $55 million over 3 years across 8 program areas with the goal of equitably increasing access to funds for organizations serving youth and those impacted by injustice and inequities within the criminal legal systems. Additionally, priority is given to organizations that have historically experienced barriers to accessing county funding. Next slide.
So here you see the program area chart. We have 8 program areas that have been selected, and the total amount of funding is to be distributed as follows. Program Area 1, re-envisioning youth after school and summer programs, 10.2 million. Program Area 2, career and education pathway programs, 7,650,000. Program Area 3, youth specific housing intervention, 10.2 million. Program Area 4, culturally affirming family reunification and pretrial family support, 5.1 million. Program Area 5, support services for returning LGBTQIA+ residents, 2,550,000. Program Area 6, reentry programming for women and those who identify as women, 7,650,000. And program area youth centers, 3,825,000. We have also program area 8, which is the non-CFCI funded programs, grants to justice focused CBOs, 8.5 million. Funding is currently available for the first 7 program areas. There is a minimum amount of funding you can ask for each year, and that is $50,000. You can see this in the second column of the chart. If you ask for more than the maximum amount stated in the second column of the chart, your application may be reduced, not awarded, or multiple awards may be made from a single application. The chart is available at www.amityfdn.org/TPA website and is included in the downloadable application package, which is also available at the same Amity website. There will be a separate process once the county releases the non-CFCI funding for the 8th program area, grants to justice focused CBOs. You are welcome to participate in this webinar if you are applying in any of the 8 program areas. But please note that the information we are providing today does not cover the application process for program number 8. Next slide, please. Wanted to give you those key dates and timeline in regards to this funding opportunity. So originally, the funding opportunity was released June 7th, 2022. An optional funding opportunity webinar, which is the one that you're attending today on the 15th from 12 to 2. The second will follow on June 22nd, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have a written questions deadline for July 8th, 2022 by 5 p.m. Pacific time. Your submission deadline is July 12th, 2022 at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Funding opportunity review and contracting will take place over the period from July 13th through August 31st. And then the contracts will start on September the 1st or upon approval. I just want to bring your attention that selected CFCI programs and projects shall begin upon full contract execution on or about the 1st of September and shall conclude August 31st, 2025. Next slide, please.
Okay, these are the terms of the contract. Eligibility, this funding opportunity is open to organizations that provide direct services to individuals and families that have a minimum of 2 years of experience providing services in the program area for which they are applying. This includes A, nonprofit organizations with 501c3 status as determined by the Internal Revenue Service. B, organizations applying through fiscal sponsor. C, business entities, example, limited liability corporations or LLCs determination, professional corporation determination, and D, faith-based organizations. For organizations that have been operating for less than 2 years, Amity will consider the years of experience of senior level staff on a case-by-case basis. Projects must be located within the Los Angeles County. Next slide, please. Requirements. Applicants will be required to upload 2 documents. Number 1 is your most recent tax return. Preferred is 2021. And 2 is proof of business or legal status, which could be one of the following. Proof of nonprofit 501c3 status as determined by the Internal Revenue Service, or fiscal sponsor documentation. Documentation that indicates the organization to be business entity with at least 2 years of experience in the program area for which the service provider is submitting the application. For example, a limited liability corporation determination or professional corporation determination. If your organization does not have a 501c3 fiscal sponsor or business entity designation, you may apply with the understanding that you will attain one of those qualifying designations prior to award. You will be required to upload a document stating as much signed by an authorized representative. Projects must identify the specific locations to be served and provide zip code information. CFCI funds are only available through the 7 listed program areas. Organizations may only submit 1 application per program area. Although you may partner with another application, however, that application must be submitted by a different organization. Organizations may apply for or partner in as many program areas as they like. In this case, applications will be subject to a review that determines that the services provided will be distinct and not overlap with any current or previous CFCI or non-CFCI awards. Next slide, please. The selection process involves the following. Organizations must apply through the online application portal available at the www.amityfdn.org/TPA website. All applications must be submitted along with required documentation through the online application portal. Deadline to submit is Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 by 5 p.m. Please do not wait until the last day to get your application in. Applications will be reviewed and scored by independent reviewers using uniform scoring criteria. Organizations with annual operating budgets of less than 1.5 million shall be prioritized for awards. Organizations serving high-need areas of Los Angeles County shall be prioritized for awards. Organizations that have an annual budget of over 1.5 million, the larger organizations, will be considered after decisions have been made on applications from organizations with annual budgets under 1.5 million. If a larger organization submits a proposal that includes some subcontracts with larger organizations below 1.5 million, that proposal will be prioritized among the remaining larger organizations for awards subject to available funding. A site visit may be required before final selection. Evaluation will be based on the criteria outlined in the funding opportunity. The evaluation and award process will be considered final, and there is no process for appeal. Amity will offer declined organizations and individuals a debrief to discuss the application. Amity will also provide technical assistance to connect unsuccessful applicants to training and support an effort to strengthen their organizations and/or their applications for future funding opportunities. Next slide, please. Scoring. All proposals will undergo a preliminary screening to assure completeness, and that minimum eligibility requirements have been met. Independent reviewers will be instructed to use the following tool to score each proposal. Scoring area or organizational experience and capacity, total points possible, 10 points. Project is achievable and relevant, budget is feasible and reasonable, 20 points. Organization has an annual budget of 1.5 million and has never been funded by LA County, 10 points. Board leadership and staff reflect the demographics and experience of the population served, 10 points. Organization is in and serves high need areas and populations, 10 points, for a total of 60 points. Next slide, please.
For the remaining slides, Amity will provide a live walkthrough of the application and explanation of application questions. The PowerPoint deck will be available to all on Amity's website, and screen grabs will be provided in lieu of the live demonstration. After the demonstration, we will open the webinar for questions. In the interest of time, equity, and fair consideration of all questions, Amity will take verbal questions during the webinar, as well as questions posted in the chat. However, answers will be posted later at the www.amityfdn.org/TPA website for everybody to access. There will be a link to a questions and answers page available to all. Answers will be updated and notifications will be sent out regularly that the Q&A has been updated. Amity is accepting questions about the funding opportunities through July 8th, 2022. Again, with a submission date of July 12th. So I am going to now walk us through the application process. This is, could an Amity team member let me know if you can see my screen? I cannot tell what we're looking at.
Yes, Rebecca, can see it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So the application process, when you first sign in, this is the page that you will see. Welcome to the Amity Foundation application portal. I believe the easiest way for you to access this page is through the Amity Foundation website. The landing page for the Amity Foundation website, this is our front door, and you will see TPA right here on the top left. If you hit the TPA homepage, You will be led to the Care First community investment funding opportunities. Links to all program area applications are right here on the right-hand side. So a couple of things here. You can download a PDF. It's basically screenshots of exactly the application as it is laid out online. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So here's a PDF that you can download if you'd like to have a paper copy or you want a copy for your reference. You can download all of the instructions and all of the questions by hitting that PDF link. But you can also link straight to the application. So that is what I recommend you do the first time you're going to log in to fill out the application is use this link. This link will take you straight to this page. If you're a first-time visitor, if you have not come here before, if you have not begun an application, you're going to select the new applicant link in the below the email field. It's right here. It's small text, but this is what you'll do is hit this link so that you can sign up and sign in. You're going to provide an email address. We recommend that you provide an email address that more than one person can access in case you're not the only person filling out the form, and a password. The password requirement is very simple for this application. It's just 5 characters, letters and numbers. And again, remember to share this with anyone on your team who is helping fill out the application. And after you have done that, you will be able to log in. So I just want to alert you to this. Every time you log in, so at this point, you're going to want to copy and paste a particular link to your application. If you go in the front door, the last page I show you, if you go in that way every time, you will create a new application. So as you can see here, I have visited my grant application site 6 times since yesterday. And every time I visited, I created a new application, which can pretty quickly get confusing. So I will go into one of these and I'm going to show you the link that you should copy and paste to access the application you have been working on from the beginning. It's this link right here. So you want to copy and paste this grant request. That will take you to your specific application without creating a new one every time. All right, we are now at the first tab of the application. The first tab is helpful tips about using this portal. One of the most important things here is this link. You should write it down or copy and paste it into a document so you can come back to your specific application. Every time you are done with your application, you'll receive an email saying updates have been made to your application. If it goes straight to your spam folder, it's not going to help you out very much. So make sure that mail@grantapplication.com is in your safe senders list. So you are actually receiving your email communications from this site. You can click the printer-friendly version. It's all the way over here on the right, printer-friendly version. You can also email a draft to yourself if you are in the process of filling this out. The printer-friendly version does not download, all it downloads are all of these tabs. I do highly recommend that you download the printer-friendly version from the Amity website because that includes all of your instructions in addition to the questions. A couple of other important pointers here is you want to use these buttons. These buttons down here, the save and finish later, the next button. Instead of using the arrow at the top of your web page, you want to use these next buttons. If you use the arrow back here to go back, you're going to get, there's a chance you'll get booted out of your application. So try to remember to use the next and the back buttons at the bottom of your screen. And another important element about this application, and this does come with a plea. We are using word limits. We are indicating word limits. These are suggestions. If you go over the word limit, you will not have to go back and cut and paste. We recognize how time consuming it can be to edit a beautifully worded narrative that you have worked perhaps years to put together, and now we're asking you to make it shorter. So while we don't want to do that, we are asking the community to please be aware that we are expecting hundreds of applications. We have a limited number of reviewers. We have a limited window to review. I promise you more words are not better for this application. If you can state what you are doing simply, in plain, simple sentences, if you can state it briefly, please do that. Please, we ask that that is your default. So the second tab, so after you've looked at this to your heart's content, you can hit next. And now we come to these are instructions that are particular to this application. So I've chosen, for example, today, program area 1. Depending on the program area that you are applying for, this is going to look different, right? If you're in program area 2, program area 3, et cetera, the information specific to those program areas is what you're going to see here. The funding limits are here to remind you about how much you should aim for when you are creating your ask. We do want to point, we've been asked by the county just recently, and we do want to point out, you may ask for totals higher than the ceiling that is listed here. You may do that. But the likelihood, we will then review your application, and it is possible that you will be awarded a smaller amount. We may make multiple awards from a single application. You may not be awarded. So you may ask for a higher amount, but these are the possibilities if you do ask for that higher amount. The total amount of funding available is the total amount we are expecting to fund across this program area to all organizations over 3 years. It is not the total amount available to you unless you have a really compelling reason why that is the amount that is for your organization alone. But again, the intent of these funds is to fund smaller organizations that have not contracted with the county before in the interest of promoting equity. So we are expecting to make smaller awards to smaller organizations that have been doing this work for possibly 4 years and have not been funded by the county. In this site, we were, the original idea was we were going to take you back to the Amity website, and our website was updated right at the time that this application went live. So there are no live links in this section. I refer you back to the Amity website for all kinds of resources to help you fill out this application. Most helpful will be the PDF that you can download from the Amity website that has all of the instructions. This webinar will also be available on the website, and a PDF of the slides that we use today will be available on the website. Well, now let's get into the meat of it. The first section of the application, truly, is a contact information page. It's short and simple. We're going to ask for 2 things of all organizations on this page and 1 thing for special organizations on this page. The 2 basic pieces of information are your organization contact, and here we are looking for leadership CEO. That is who we're looking for in this field. So your agency name, first name, last name of your CEO, founder, leader, yourself, if you are all of these things, and the title or role of that person. In this next one, this is where we're looking for information about the person to contact about this application. If that is you, if you is filling out the application or the person we should contact, and you are not the person who you entered into this first section, please put yourself. If these 2 pieces of information are the same, you can check this box and the information will be auto-filled. And this last piece, the fiscal sponsor. So I want to be very clear. This is only for organizations using a fiscal sponsor. If you are not an organization using a fiscal sponsor, You do not need to fill this out. If you are using a fiscal sponsor, we need some identifying information for your fiscal sponsor, their name, their federal identification number, their EIN, their address, and a contact person there. And we do in this field, I know it looks like one line, but we do want a name, title, and email address here. So all that will fit in this field. At this point, I do want to direct your attention to this little red asterisk. Every question that has this red asterisk next to it, you are going to have to fill in an answer in that box before the form will allow you to submit. There are required, some of the required information is for fields that will be not applicable to you. So in that instance, you're going to have to go in and put N/A or not applicable, or put something in that field. Otherwise, you will not be able to submit. So moving on, the next section is organizational information. And this is where we're trying to understand you and the work that you've been doing before we even get to your proposal. We want to know something about your mission, your history, who you are to the community, the work that you've been doing, just to kind of orient us to who you are, who you serve, what you do. A lot of these things are very basic. We're looking for the address where the organization is physically located. I've seen several questions come in already about what is high needs and how are we determining high needs. Through the CFCI process, the county and the community have leaned on some specific tools to determine high needs. They are determining high needs based on zip code with one condition, and I will get to that later on. But when all of these questions about how are we determining high needs, we're going to use your zip code. We're going to use the zip code of where your organization is located, specifically your physical location. We're going to use the zip code of the people you serve. We're going to ask you to provide us with that information, the zip codes of the people you serve. And that is how we're going to begin the process of determining high needs. You will have an opportunity to explain how you serve high needs populations, even if your zip code is not included among the high needs zip codes. And we've also understood from Indigenous and Native American serving organizations that those zip codes often do not apply to themselves or their work. So we also have a section for people to talk more about serving high needs populations that are not in those zip codes. But through a very long process, 3 tools were developed. There are links to these tools. We will get to that portion. So that's why we want your physical address. If your mailing address is different, provide it here. What is your organization's mission? And again, you can see by this little red asterisk, this is a required question. I want to show you one other thing that you might be curious about. This red check mark right here means that we've enabled spell check. That's all it means. It just means that as you type, you're going to, just like in most Word documents, if a word is misspelled, there'll be a little red underline under it. So that will give you an opportunity to go back and correct that, should you choose to. We are asking for, and again, here are the word limits. We are requesting, and it is a request. It is not a mandate, but you know, we do ask that you please try to keep it short and direct. So limit to 100 words for mission. What are the direct services that your organization provides to individuals and families in the community? How long have you been providing these services? Note, we are seeking organizations or leadership level staff that have at least 2 years of experience providing services in the program area you're providing for. Now, you will not be disqualified if you have less than this. You can still apply. But we are interested in funding organizations that have been working in the community they intend to serve, who have already been providing services in that community for a while, who are known and trusted organizations in that community. Again, this is about advancing equity. And that is one of the ways in which we are trying to assure equity, is making sure people who have been doing the work are funded for the work that they are doing. That's the explanation about experience. You can talk more about your experience here. If you do not meet that 2-year limit, we are interested in hearing your rationale for your experience. So please tell us more. The next 2 questions are about cultural and linguistic competency. In which languages do you provide services? You can list languages of staff, maybe it's staff who speak the languages, but also if you have access to interpretation or translation to languages, that counts. That is also linguistic competency. So please tell us about that here. In question 4, what are your techniques for engaging diverse participants using culturally appropriate outreach and services? So we have recognized from feedback from the community that all techniques do not work for all populations. So if you have secret sauce, if you have, well, if it's secret, you can keep it secret, but if you have particular things that you do that you know is effective in engaging your population, please share that with us here. The next information is financial information, and we recognize some of this might be difficult for smaller organizations. And again, we want to work with you. So we have links throughout the application to email us. We encourage you to email us. The email address is tpagrants, all one word, tpagrants@amityfdn.org. We want to know the total organizational budget because, again, our focus is on smaller organizations, and through a very long process, the county and the community have agreed that $1.5 million is a reasonable cutoff for that. You are not disqualified. If you have a budget over $1.5 million, you are welcome to apply. But we are prioritizing organizations with a total organizational budget under 1.5 million. This is a drop-down menu. You can select one of these. If you are over 1.5 million and you have rationale or explanation that you want to share with us, we have a place for you to do that. If you're over 1.5 million, please enter in the box below. Again, this is a required question. So you may have an under $150,000 budget. Just put not applicable if this does not apply to you. So here's a space where you can talk to us about, we understand that there are special circumstances, particularly with COVID. Sometimes smaller organizations have received large grants that are unusual for the organization. In the year 2021, not typical for your organization. Your organization is usually an under $1.5 million annual budget organization. Please tell us about that here. We are taking into account the extraordinary circumstances of the last 2 years. And you have a 25-year history of operating at $1 million and we're the lucky recipient of funding to deal with COVID-19 issues, that is the kind of thing we're looking for here. Another caveat on the $1.5 million budget. If you're a large, organizations over $1.5 million, we are considering them large organizations for this opportunity. If you intend to subcontract with smaller organizations, we will take that into account. We have understood through our listening sessions and conversations with subject matter experts that a lot of small community organizations get funds as pass-through from larger organizations. So again, our primary interest is in funding small organizations that have been doing this work for years and have not been able to be funded by the county or other large bureaucracies. So please let us know. We will be looking at your budget to see how much you're passing through, and we will be looking at your explanation about how you're passing through to smaller organizations. Finally, this is your yes or no question. You will not be disqualified if you have been funded by LA County. You will not be disqualified. You can still apply. But again, in the spirit of this funding to advance equity, We are looking for organizations who have not been able to contract with the county due to county required issues. So this is a yes or no question. And you will not be disqualified if the answer is yes, you have been funded by the county before. Just please let us know. So we know that one of these sticking points, and in particular with being funded by the county, is you have to show insurance coverage, usually to contract with the county. And that has stopped many small organizations from contracting. Whether or not you have insurance will not affect your score here. It is not going to raise or lower your score. Your application will be scored separate from this issue. However, we do need to know if you have insurance coverage. So the following questions in this section are about different kinds of insurance coverage. If you do have it, this coverage amount question is not required, but it will really help us out if you can supply us with the amount of coverage that you're getting. We're asking about general liability, vehicle auto, workers' compensation, sexual misconduct, and umbrella insurance coverage. So finally, here we are on some of these. Some of these things are going to be more difficult for some organizations, less difficult for others. Because this is coming through the county, because your supervisors are fierce advocates to make sure that funding goes equitably across the county, we are asking you to identify your supervisorial district. This is a live link. It will take you to this Board of Supervisors page. And right now, usually there's a better tool on this page, but right now, because voting is in session, that tool has been, you're getting directed somewhere else. So you're going to have to access this district map to discern whether or not you fall into Ms. Solis's district, for instance. So that is the supervisor district. Similarly, with the service planning area, again, we want to distribute this funding as equitably as possible. So we are asking for you to identify your service planning area. This tool is easier to use. It's this square over here. Find your service planning area. You enter your zip code, and it will tell you what your service planning area is. These are the tools that, after a very long process, Amity has been directed to, the CFCI community has been directed to. This is how we are determining high needs. And again, we have an opportunity for you to talk about how you are serving high needs, even if you do not serve these zip codes. So we really are trying to work with you to capture as much information about who you are serving as possible. We're using two tools. The first one is the Anti-Racism, Diversity, and Inclusion Office Equity Explorer tool. This will take you to the Explorer tool. You can find out if the zip codes you serve are listed in this tool. So that is available for you to navigate. There are some tutorials. There are tutorials on how, I understand that some of these are pretty dense and difficult, some of these tools. There are tutorials about how to use the Explorer tool here for you, but that is available for your use. The other index that we're going to refer to as we review applications is the Justice Equity Needs Index, and that is available here. And again, explanation about what it is, how to use it. And here's the tool itself. So these are the things that we're going to be using. So it's not arbitrary. It's not based on any other explanation or definition. These are the tools we are using. They are available to you. Please make use of them. That is all the basic organizational information. The next page is equally as dense, but after that, after that, we've got pretty smooth sailing. So I know this is a rather long process, but I'm hoping that this is clarifying the application process for you. This is about your request. This is what you're requesting funds for. So the first question here is, what is the total amount of funding over 3 years? This is the whole enchilada, everything, not your annual amount, but how much you're asking for over the entire period. Our ceiling for funds is $750,000 over 3 years for most of the program areas, and $900,000 for youth housing. And again, you can ask for more than this, and you have an opportunity to justify asking for more than this, and we will take all of that into consideration. There is a possibility that if you ask for more than the ceiling, your application may be split up into several applications. You may be funded less, you may not be funded at all. So be aware of that. This amount needs to be the same as the amount in the budget form. It's this next section. So I'm going to open up the budget form. We'll take a look at it here. The budget form has 3 tabs. Here's the template. When I opened this up today, I saw somebody had filled it out, and they were doing some great work here. Please do not fill out the form online. Please download the form and fill it out. If you fill out the form when it's online, your information will be cleared, because this online form is for use for everybody. Please download the form first. The form does have instructions here on the second tab. I added this instruction this morning: download this form before you begin working in it. One of our first instructions is to read disallowed costs. So a reminder to everyone that this is taxpayer money that is being allocated, and there are rules about how anyone can use taxpayer money. And some expenditures are not allowed. We're not allowed to use taxpayer money on certain expenditures. We have put some of the outstanding ones here. There are more. We will go through this in a lot more detail with our awardees or with people who are in the final stages of becoming an awardee to work out disallowed costs, but these are the most common ones. So you should be well covered by this list. Please download the budget template. The budget template asks for position titles, salary amounts, the number of months you will need the person in question. Oh, this is actually, so these are left over from the person who began filling the account in online. I will clear these before you need to use this form. But these are very good examples of the kinds of staff positions you can put here under your position. Number of months you need them. Probably most of you are familiar with this percentage FTE. FTE is full-time employment, and that is standard 40 hours a week. So if you have a 1 FTE staff person, they are working 40 hours a week. 100% of their time is devoted to this project. So we're asking you to discern how much time per week this person is going to put toward this particular project or program. That is your FTE. I'm not going to go over the budget form in absolute detail today, but we are available to you to work through the budget form. We are happy to take questions about it. We are happy to work with you one-on-one about it. We want to make sure that you are happy with your budget. That will help us be happy with your budget. That is the budget form. Oh, the main thing that I wanted to say here though was this line 2 right here, total amount entirety of project. That is the amount. That is the amount that we should see here in question number 1. The total amount of funding over 3 years. That's the number. A note about uploading your budget form. So you have downloaded your budget form, you have filled it out, it's saved on your computer. You will need to choose your file. So you click this button and then you choose your file, and you are not done. Once you've selected it, you need to hit this upload button to make sure that it imports into this application portal. So it's not enough to just choose your file. Please remember to hit the upload button. The next section here is who do you intend to serve? So about the PDF available on our site, and also if you print this PDF, we've provided checkboxes for you. The checkboxes do not show up on the PDF. So if you want to see what the divided categories are, they are here in the form live. This is so that all these questions are checkbox questions for you. You can check one or many checkboxes. Try to capture all of the people you serve. We're asking for demographic information in age groups, in race ethnicity groups, in gender groups, and then in community characteristics. So community characteristics might include gender categories, might include age categories, will include lived experience categories, might include sexuality/preference categories. These are your community characteristics. And we do have a box for other. If we have not captured the community you serve, please tell us more in this box below. And then we are asking for an unduplicate. So this is your project, not your organization, but for this project that you are proposing, this project you're trying to get funded, how many unduplicated people per year are you anticipating to serve with the funding that you're asking for? And that is a required question. The next section is about your staff and board. These questions, again, are about advancing equity. So the first thing that we're going to ask is how many staff or volunteers per year are you going to use to serve this number of people who you say you're going to serve every year? How many people are you going to employ or deploy to serve those people? So that's our first question. The next questions all concern diversity and representation among your staff and leadership. So the Care First Community Investment Funding Opportunity is intended to benefit community-based organizations that are led, at least in part, by Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color, transition age youth, transgender, gender nonconforming, intersex, LGBTQA+, and people with lived experience. And these questions are intended to capture your achievements in that area. So the first one is just a yes or no. Does the majority, at least 50% more of your direct services staff or volunteer staff, this number in number 8 right here, these people, does at least more than 50% of your staff reflect the descriptors of the population that you serve? And again, all these descriptors are above the population you serve. You selected some descriptors in questions 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we are looking for your staff or your volunteers to reflect that population. So you can go back to 3, 4, 5, and 6 and see what you selected. And does more than 50% of your staff reflect that number? If not, here's your opportunity to talk more about your staff and volunteers, how and why they are qualified, how they meet the needs of your community. I'm so sorry. No, this is a number response. I apologize. This is the if it is not 50% or more, please tell us the percentage of your staff or volunteers that does reflect the characteristics of the community you serve. So similarly with your board of directors, we are looking for, these are not yes, no questions. These are more specific. We're getting more specific with your board of directors and leadership. So we're looking for the percentage of your board of directors and or leadership who identify with the community characteristics in questions 3, 4, 5, 6. We would like the percentage here. This one is a slightly more difficult table. When you're done with the table, you're going to have a total that is 100%. So this is going to require a little math. But again, we are looking for percentages in these specific categories. We do have an other, if we haven't captured, if people are a mix, if people, defy these categorizations, other, for other reasons, you can check other and make up the difference in your percentage in this box. And then we are also looking specifically for lived experience among your board and leadership. So these two questions are 10 and 12 tease out certain elements of community characteristics. In 10, the community characteristics are limited to gender and sexual preference. And in 12, they are limited to lived experience. So that's the division there. How will the work be accomplished? This is the meat of what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, how it will work, what will be the benefit of your work. Here's where you will describe your program or project, the program or project you're proposing to us. First, we have a checklist. This is different in every program area. These are, after a very lengthy process, the community called out these as program components of interest for youth serving after school and summer programs. These are all listed in CFCI's developmental documents. You may provide things that are over and above this, that are more than this, that are different from this, but we are interested in knowing what you provide that directly aligns with some of the issues that the community called out during the 2-year-long process that landed us here at this very moment. So this is a checklist. It will differ per program area. If there are other services you plan to provide or you wish to provide more detail on the things that you checked off, tell us more in question 14. And then we have a question about how will the work you propose be accomplished? We would like you to include, so we, in the interest of advancing equity, we would like to know about how participants find out about your program. How do they enroll? Is there an intake or screening process that you have or plan to have? Describe what the funds you are requesting will allow your organization to do. What will these funds allow you to accomplish? Include the staff involved and the major activities and services your program or project will deliver. And the final question here is, what is the impact of the work you're proposing? So here you've told us about all the things you do and probably have been doing in your community for a while. Who does it? How it works? Why it works? Here you're going to tell us what the result is. What is the role? What will be the impact of this project? You're proposing this project over 3 years for a certain amount of money. What will have happened in your community at the end of your project? So what is the impact of the work you're proposing? What does success look like for your participants? And this is an equity based question. Do participants have input about goals and activities? How do participants meet their goals? There may be other details that you want us to know about the impact of your work. And that's here. The last sections are pretty simple. I know everyone is wiping their brow now. The next one is to let us know there are only 2 questions in this section. We're interested in knowing if you're applying for any other program area. So just let us know here. And if you're not, you can check none of the above. And we're also interested in, again, part of what Amity is really hoping to do as the third-party administrator is provide technical assistance, is help people get to where they want to go as a community-based organization through linkage and resources. These are some of the things that we've heard from the community. These are some of the things that have been suggested as technical assistance. Maybe you're interested in some of these, maybe you're interested in none of them. Maybe you have other things that you are interested in technical assistance for. Please let us know in the box below. We are requiring 2 attachments for this application. When I was a grant writer, this was one of the things that I disliked the most. So we have reduced it to 2, but we do, again, this has been a real process of discernment for us about needing these attachments. We do need them to help us pick our awardees. The first one, attachment number 1, is the most recent income tax return. We prefer 2021. We understand there's some organizations that are not going to have this. And you may have, you may really be able to justify that in a way that still makes you awardable, right? We may really be able to understand your position. But for the most part, most organizations have a tax return. We are requesting 2021 if possible. We do understand that it is June 2022 and there may not be a 2021 tax return available. We will take 2020. Please, this is a live link. You can click it and email us. If you do not have this, if you do not have a 2020 version of this, please talk to us and let's talk about what you can upload instead to show us your organizational budget, to show us your financial, your organizational responsibility. Talk to us and we can figure out together what attachment might be able to fulfill this requirement. And the second required attachment is some kind of proof of professional status. And there are several options here. You only need 1. We're only looking for 1 attachment here. Please do not give us 4 attachments. We only want 1. If you're a 501c3, we would like your letter of determination from the IRS. You can upload it here. Again, same, spend some time on the budget form. You're going to have to choose your file. You will choose it, but that is not enough. You also have to upload it to port it into the application portal. So choose it, upload it. So the first thing we're looking for is, do you have a 501c3 status? We will accept that. If not, that is fine. Maybe you have a fiscal sponsor. We need fiscal sponsor documentation. We can talk more about what that is. Again, email us and we can work with what you need to upload here. If you do not have either of those things, if you have documentation that proves the organization is a business entity with at least 2 years of experience in the program area for which the service provider is submitting the application. So again, we understand that there's some newer organizations that might have staff with 10 years of experience serving the community that they are proposing services for. And we hear that and we want to honor that. So I do want to, we do have a caveat that for organizations that have been operating for less than 2 years, we will consider the years of experience of senior level staff on a case-by-case basis. We understand that that is the case for some organizations. We will be talking more to you about that, but that is one of the ways in which we're going to work with organizations who have under 2 years of business experience. So what is this kind of file? Maybe you have an LLC determination, a business license with the city of LA, a professional corporation determination. These are the kinds of things that we're looking for here. Just something that shows the validity, the legitimacy of your business. If you do not have these documents, we're going to need you to write a letter on your letterhead, brief. You can copy and paste this. You can copy and just one sentence. It has to say, name of your organization is submitting this application with the willingness and intent to enter into an agreement with a fiscal sponsor prior to grant execution. These asterisks, and again, choose file and upload. These asterisks do a little bit more in-depth explanation of some of the things that I just covered above. Business entity experience can be shown. So for instance, this can be shown by previous grants. If you have a 3-year contract with someone who's been providing you funding for your services, that shows you've been in business providing those services for 3 years. So that would work. Grants, tax filings, audits, reports, or other available documentation. Amity will at its sole discretion determine if documentation is sufficient or if additional documentation is needed. We will be in touch. About fiscal sponsorship and about why we're asked, I want to remind people in the community that we have all noticed in LA that some wealthier, better funded organizations will swoop into communities where they have never provided services, and they will write award-winning grants using their highly paid grants professional that gets them a contract to provide services in a community where they do not exist and where they have not provided services before. These documents are an effort for us to really try to document, prove, hold ourselves accountable that we are dispersing this money to community-based organizations who have been serving their communities faithfully, who have not been able to access these funds before. That is really what this is all about. All of these, all of the questions we ask, we've carefully considered about. We know that filling out applications is time consuming, and we've really tried to be sensitive to that. At the same time, we've had to balance this burning question about whether or not the money is being equitably distributed. And so when you feel that, that grant writer's annoyance at the detail required in this question, please remember your answer is helping us get money to where the money is needed most. So that brings us to review. You will have an opportunity. So as you can see, I filled in none of these questions, and there's a lot of red text here indicating that I have some problems before I can submit. So you will be notified during this review section what you have not filled out. You will need to go back and fill it out before you can submit. All right. That is the application portion. I am going to hand the webinar back to Joanne. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. So now we will take questions. In the interest of time, equity, and fair consideration of all questions, Amity will post answers to the questions on their website, www.amityfdn.org/TPA, for everybody to access. There will be a link to a questions and answers page available to everyone. Answers will be updated and notifications will be sent out regularly that the questions have been updated. Amity is accepting questions about funding opportunities through July 8th, 2022. And this time we're going to take the phone questions. We will please raise your hand and we will call in the order that your hand was raised. I do know that we will answer the very simple, straightforward questions. Most of the questions that require a little bit more detail, we will be putting up on our website. And so thank you, and we will start taking questions. Carmen and Juan.
Yes, I do have a question.
So I'm sorry, we're gonna call by the hands raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Juan will be calling out the names. Thank you.
Thank you.
Juan?
Demi?
Yes, hi, much appreciated for you guys taking the time to do this. And so I just want to make sure, I have a little bit of two questions if possible, that I heard correct, that you guys will be able to review the applications before we submit it.
Yeah, I'll take that. So again, we have a limited number of, we're calling them grant advocates. We are going to have people for technical assistance. We're anticipating hundreds of reviewers. So We will not be able to sit with you and go through your application line by line and help you with answers. We can answer specific technical questions.
Okay, and the second question is, for the physical letter, because I'm in an incubator, do the physical letter have to, the person who's, the fiscal sponsor, do they have to be serving the same population as you?
I think we should we're going to table that question.
Okay.
Great question, and we will definitely address it. Thank you.
Stephen?
Hi, yes, two quick questions. If applying for more than one service area, is that more than one grant? I'm guessing it is, okay.
It would be, yes, correct.
And for the question about whether or not you've received funding from LA County before, there's no drop-down box for explaining if yes, what. Our organization got $20,000 of COVID money for emergency food services. Do we count that as LA County funding, or is that COVID funding?
I saw your question, and thank you for the detail. It is just a yes or no question. And again, you will not be disqualified. There are in narrative portions in the application, if you want to talk more about that, in particular, that box about if you have funding over 1.5 million, you could just write something like, we are under 1.5 million, however, want to talk about the LA County grant. That might be a place for you to specify or air that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Tori?
Great afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time, the entire team, to present this information. Very thorough and very informational. Really appreciate it. It's a twofold question that I have. Wanted to know, is there a daily per diem per person content, or is there a different attachment for that? And then if so, is the personnel budget different from the daily per diem?
So daily per diem, are you talking about for staff or for the people you serve?
For the people that we serve. So is there a daily per diem like rate per the people you serve?
There's a place where you can write it. That's a non-personnel expense. So that,
right.
Yeah, right. So under personnel, there's a personnel section. And you can write that in other, there are a few lines where you can write something in. You can write that in.
Okay, so you're not providing that.
That is up. So, short of being general operations funding, the idea behind this funding was to give you what you need to do the work you need to do.
Okay.
So some organizations will be providing per diem for their participants. Some will not. If that is something that you want to, charge to this grant, please, give us a line item, and there's a narrative space to tell us a little bit more about why you do that or why that's effective or why it's needed.
Okay, perfect. So it's still within the budget, but it would be an additional item outside of personnel.
I would put it, yes, I would put it in the non-person, I would add that line item. And then
okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Justify it, sure.
Thank you.
Sierra?
Hi, thank you. I run Open Paths Counseling Center, and I was looking at program area 4, which is quite a lot of the work that we do, providing culturally affirmative psychotherapy, but we don't work in the space of specifically courts in terms of helping with the legal process. And so my question is, if we have an area of specialization within one of the program areas, can we apply for the grant without doing all of the services within the program area?
We are receiving all applications. You absolutely
okay. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said you absolutely may apply. Please apply.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Steve?
Hi, thanks for taking my question. We're a community college, relatively large community college here in LA County, planning to apply through our foundation arm, which is a 501c3. Just wanted to check on eligibility because of the obviously the preference that's being made for smaller budgeted agencies. The particular agency that we are planning to apply with, it's a small program within the community college. I imagine the budget that we present is going to have to be from our foundation budget, which is larger than the 1.5 million. But our program that's very specific to the services we want to offer for this funding is much, much smaller. Is there a way, or how would you advise us to make that distinction between the foundation's budget that we're applying with and the budget of the smaller program that offers these services?
So again, you are eligible to apply. That does not, the size of your budget does not affect your eligibility. Our services in LA County, that can affect your eligibility. That was rhetorical. You don't need to answer that. But I would use so we give you an opportunity for narrative response in that organizational, but on that first organizational information tab, where you tell us what your annual budget is. And yet, yes, you will, I imagine if you're applying as the foundation, is the foundation's documents that we're going to be requesting. So it is the foundation's annual budget, but tell us more. Tell us, tell us how specific it's getting. Give us your rationale, justification, like how, give us your justification in the narrative box. That's how I would approach it as a writer.
Understood. Thank you.
Gary?
Yes, thank you. We're a nonprofit that works in the K through 12 area. And so there was a question regarding site visits. So we have a home office. So how would you address those site visits? And also, would you require an agreement with the K through 12 that we're, I guess, working with them?
Those are great questions. And I think we need more discussion around those questions.
Okay, well,
we will absolutely get back to you.
How about independent contractors? Is that allowed to hire independent contractors? The budget form offers a narrative portion where you can explain why that is required. And we're interested in your justifications. You know what works in your community and why you the things you need, right? Very good.
Yeah,
thank you very
tell
much.
us about it.
Mary?
Yeah, hi, thanks. I'm with Collective Remake. We do cooperative education and development in South LA. My question is regarding how much you can apply for. I understand that there's a $50,000 minimum that you can apply for, but at the same time, you can't request over 25% of your operating budget. So what that means, if I'm computing it right, is that small organizations aren't so small to qualify. You have to have at least a $200,000 operating budget. A lot of organizations have been doing work for years, and a lot of work based on operating budgets under $100,000. So
right, I
stressed out on this.
Oh, don't stress. Don't stress. Maybe we should begin these with a 2-minute meditation. What is the community?
Well, what's the answer?
So you are not disqualified if you ask for more than 25% of your budget. We will probably talk to you more about that. You are not disqualified. You can apply. You're still valid and legitimate. We understand that situation for organizations. When we think as a funder, wanting sustainability, wanting you to survive in your community, giving the services that you do, if you ask for 2 to 3 times your budget and begin to give those services in the community, and maybe the CFCI doesn't survive past 3 years, maybe this funding is no longer available. What happens to those people you've engaged? There are a lot of questions about sustainability, a lot of concerns. So that 25% is an indication. It does not disqualify you. Please ask for what you need.
Because that's what a lot of people are waiting for, the next amount of money so they can hire the next person and the next person.
Of course, yeah.
25% of $100,000 or $150,000 isn't
Sure.
going to cut it.
Sure, and to specify, you are not required to expand your programming. You're requiring an expansion. We want to pay for your programming if you become an awardee, right? So yeah, please ask for what you need, and if we have more questions, we will definitely ask them.
Can I ask one that's related to that same question? Sorry to jump in.
Hello.
Can I just ask connected to what she just asked?
So I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'll wait. That's okay. I just don't want to repeat later.
Yeah, I'm going to say we need to go in the order. So I'll remember. Go on.
Yes, hi. I have a nonprofit and we serve underprivileged kids in tutoring, math, computer science, medical billing. And the question is, do I have to have a facility in order to qualify?
So that does not affect your eligibility. You can still apply.
Okay, thank you.
Georgia?
Hi, thank you so much. I have a couple of questions, so I'm just gonna go at it. Do any of the program areas provide funding for operations, or is the funding only for direct services?
So we do have a line item for project development. And as is stated in several places in the directions, the intent of these funds is to provide direct services to individuals and families in areas that have been, impacted by the carceral system. You will not be disqualified. You can absolutely apply for anything that that you will justify the expenses for. So you are welcome to apply. But again, I would direct you to go back and read the sections about what the funding is intended to do, to go to the CFCI website and read more about Measure J and the process. There's some specific things that these funds are trying to cover.
Okay, great. And then just going back to the application, thank you for that answer. For the staff that we need to identify, are those like the organization's entire staff and contractor roster, or is that just staff and contractors specific to the program or project that we're seeking funds for?
So the budget form is it is a program/project budget form. That budget form is only related to these funds, to how you're going to spend these funds, the staff who will be paid through these funds.
Sorry, I mean, in the section where we identify how many staff, like in the application.
I don't think we're not necessarily looking for a direct correlation there.
Okay.
Can someone let's make note of that. That's a great question. We will post I think we'll post a further answer to that. But right now, we're not looking for a direct correlation that the exact number of staff and volunteers you say are going to serve are going to be reflected on your budget. That wasn't the intent.
Okay, great. And then as far as zip codes go for identifying the high needs populations, if we're an organization serving the entire county, how many zip codes do you recommend we include, if we're not just in one specific part of the county?
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. my sympathies. I would, why don't you just list all the ones that you find in the RD and or Ginny tools?
Okay, I feel bad for you guys. That's well for you.
Yeah, all right. Thank you.
Okay. And then lastly, for the youth specific housing interventions program area, does that category only fund existing housing interventions, or is that something that applicants who are working on developing initiatives for housing interventions can apply for?
So I do not have that program area language right in front of me. I'm gonna, we'll table that question.
Okay. I didn't
Thank
see
you.
anything about it in, yeah, so that's
Okay.
why. Okay, thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Kimberly?
Hi. I have a couple of questions. I wanted to get clarity on the funding. I understood the maximum funding was 750 over 3 years, correct?
Correct. This is the
Okay.
transfer given from the county. Yes.
Okay, great. And then my second question is, we are a nonprofit 501c3 that
Oh, I'm
provides.
sorry, Kimberly, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There is one exception to that. For specific housing interventions, it can go up to the listed ceiling is $900,000 over 3 years. And I also have to bring back the asterisk that you can ask for more. You can. Okay.
Okay, great. And then I'm a little bit concerned about if we fit into the different service areas, because we are a 501c3 that primarily supports, provides education and training for people in the inner city communities, but to build and grow a business.
I would not discourage you from apply. Please apply. If you need help trying to figure out which program area is the correct one for you, I think we can work with you on that, but
okay,
I encourage you to apply.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I think that's James.
Yeah.
Hello, this is Ed Smith.
James?
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, James, we hear you.
Okay, so my question actually comes behind Kimberly. I'm the executive director of Covered Community, and we're doing business at Southern Cal Virtual Business Center. And so we help businesses to secure corporate and government contracts. We've been doing it since 2017, and we partner with major organizations such as Chase Foundation, Southern Cal Edison, and other NBC Universal, where we work with small businesses. So our program is designed to help businesses for free. We have a 1-year training program, and we're actually in partnership with an organization called LA Reach, and so which is made up of small bankers and lending institutions and other organizations. And so we do have a mission. And so we have a program that is scheduled to start August, September of this fall. And because we have a virtual platform, we can actually cover the county of Los Angeles and, the world now, since we have that virtual platform. And so wanted to know, in part of that funding, with the funding, are we allowed to do that? And we can service, our goal is to service this year 400 businesses. And with that, our businesses so far, we've helped, they've been able to secure over $100 million in government contracts. And with that comes hiring more people for that business and tax paying businesses, as well as, increasing the pay of
Mr. Rolfe, are you saying you're hoping to fund 400 businesses potentially worldwide? That's your goal? Because I can tell you this funding is specific to LA County. So you would have to find a way to make sure that these funds are funding your activities for LA County only. We can't fund activities that serve people outside of LA County.
Correct. And we're connected to various resources within the city of Los Angeles, the various business source centers, and those businesses, that work with the county for technical assistance for. So we do have a very large database and a network. And so our goal is to find those businesses here Well, we've already found them, but get more of them into this process within the County of Los Angeles. So
Right.
thank you so much.
Right, sure. And I did just a brief, so the funds have been specified for community-based organizations, providing direct services to individuals and families in the communities they serve. That is going to be our priority. That does not disqualify anyone from applying for anything. But I do, just to reorient, to reorient you, that is the intention behind these funds.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Devin? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Hi, Devin.
I think there's two. Are you calling on me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Are there two
Oh, yeah.
with hands raised? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So my first question is, after August 2025, does the program restart, or what happens after August 2025?
I don't have the answer for that question. This contract ends in August 2025. That is contracted organizations should have spent all their funds by then. Yeah.
Thank you.
Vero?
Hi, I think is it Burl? Mr. English? Ms. English?
Can you hear me? Hi, this is Burl.
Oh, hello. Yes, we hear you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for this special time. I'm learning a lot. I have a question for you. I had a contract with my other company for 3 years. It ended June 2021. But I applied for new programs and became a nonprofit with another name. And that's what I'm applying for with this program. And my funding and my budget didn't start until a few months ago. Does that impact my ability to apply?
No, that does not make you eligible to apply. And I would just direct you to in the section where we ask for where we're asking for documentation that shows that you've been in business for a certain amount of time. If your 501c3 designation is less than 2 years old, I would encourage you to talk about your experience before that.
Oh, yes. Okay. Because yes, they all have that experience. It was just, I was worried about because it's under a different company, and if that impacted things. The experience is there, so I can mention that. Okay.
It does not disqualify you from applying.
Excellent. Oh, good news. Okay, my other question was when I've been working on this document quite a bit. Thank you for clarifying my errors. I already saw them. But I have a question with the salary column. You have on there somewhere some wording that says include their benefits or their insurance with the salary, monthly salary, but then underneath you have insurance and itemized items. So to me, I mean, is that something that we don't put insurance on that line item only with their salary?
So we are differentiating between, the percentage of the employee salary that goes to things like health insurance and even workman's comp. Those things are separated out from insurance fees you might pay to insure your organization, your board of directors, your vehicles. That's the kind of insurance we mean on that line item. That percentage that's also known as fringe. I think I might have left that word off because
yes.
What is it?
Okay.
Right, but
yeah. Okay, so that insurance is separate. So I mainly would be including the medical and workman's comp on their salary.
Right.
Not sexual misconduct.
So that's, again, that's usually that is covering the organization. That's
Oh, I thought it was per person. Okay.
It sounds like
it's not per person. Okay.
It sounds like we might need to answer your question later. We will get back to you with an answer to your question.
Okay, and then the bottom line, it says program management. Is that like a percentage of our funding that goes back to CFCI?
So
At
no, that is,
10 or,
so that's where we're trying to capture, often that line item is called overhead or indirect costs. We recognize there are costs associated with running a program, like having an accountant and, renting a building and, and having maybe having a person who handles your, there are a bunch of costs that apply to running an organization that also, you can't run your program without the organization. So those are indirect costs. So here we've just said, what does it cost to manage this? Like over of the staff you've listed or the non-personnel items you've listed, we are allowing for 15% of all those other costs that you already listed down, 15% on top of that for the indirect costs or overhead. Does that make
sense? So is the one last question that I'm done, because I know you have other people, if you don't mind. I was curious because I know when I had my program for 3 years, I had what they call independent audits, and those went as high as $27,000 for an audit. So that's why I was curious, how do we
right.
That's part of that bottom line of extra money that could cover that, if that were to happen with this program where there's an independent audit required?
I think we need to, we will table that question and get back to you. Those open you want in other expenses, you can write anything you want and then justify it. But just because you've added the line item and justified it does not mean necessarily that when we review and we look at the heart and intent, the things that these funds need to cover, your justification might, please, you can put it in a line item and you can justify it, and it won't necessarily pass the bar of, is it serving the community for these funds to pay for your organization's audit? Is it serving the community?
Okay.
Right. So you can put any line item you want and you can justify it, and the budget is going to be rated for, you can go back to that scoring. There's a chart that scoring is. So we are looking for reasonableness and feasibility, and paying 27.
Well, that wasn't that wasn't me. That was the county. The county mandating it.
That's fine. I'm just saying.
So it wasn't like I planned for it. Yeah. So you mean it could be a surprise from the county that they want us to have an audit that we have to pay for?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. We will get back to you on that question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Michelle Sorgan.
Yes, thank you. I have a few questions. The first one was following up on an earlier one for the budget, where it was requesting that it be around 25%. Is that based on each year? Like when you say 25% of your budget, if we're asking for like 250 for 3 years, so that's a total of 750.
Sure.
Does it 25% of that though?
So
like
again, that I understand why that's confusing. We're going to get back to you on that question. Just briefly, we're not referring to when we say 25% of your budget, we're talking about your budget as an organization, your annual budget, what it costs to run the whole thing. That's what we're referring to with that 25%. And again, not disqualifying or
I know. Okay. I get that.
It will not disqualify you.
Okay.
But that's,
I guess, I just want to know if I'm like way off. Like we're thinking of maybe applying for 200 a year for a total of 600, but our annual operating budget is usually around 800. But some of that money would allow us to like grow our programming.
Right. We encourage you to apply for as much as you need to deliver the programming project.
Okay, so then maybe that 25% is like really like a general suggestion. I just don't want to come in like way over asking when you're really looking for us to kind of go closer to.
Well,
yeah.
again, so the budget is there for you to describe your expenses and justify them. Tell us why you need them.
Okay.
Pretty clear.
Okay. Another question I have is we recently purchased a new building that is going to become a youth center, but we are probably going to be spending all of next year renovating it. And then we would move to that new space in the fall of 2023. So can we apply for funding for the youth center with the idea that maybe we apply for a small portion of it the first year, but like the larger part of the budget goes towards the following 2 years when the center's officially opened?
Right. So the way the budget is structured and it doesn't have to be an equal.
Right.
What, Michelle? We're going to get back to you on that question. I think we need
Okay. Yeah. I guess it was also like, did the youth center have to already be existing if we're going to go after that grant? Because it's not like officially open. So that would be helpful.
Got it. All right. We'll get back to you on that for sure.
Okay, cool. And then back to the budget piece, like we can ask for money though for new hires or it doesn't have to be just, you said it could be to support just current programming, but it can also be for expansion. Okay.
Absolutely.
If we're, for example, asking for support for after school programs, it can be for multiple after school programs, right? It doesn't have to be for just like one specific piece of it. And like, what if for example, in the new space, we will be having other organizations come and offer after school workshops there as well. They are organizations that we've often worked with, and we hire out other artists from those organizations and pay them to do the workshops. Would that be considered subcontracting, like under the question on the grant, or is that more just like we're hiring artists outside of our organization to run the programs? Because they're going to be like in our space.
Got it. So if you are paying for them through this grant, if they are getting this grant money from you, that's subcontracting.
Because they're not like our own staff.
If they are receiving money through you from this grant.
Yeah.
Because
they're not our own staff, you're saying, because how couldn't they fall under consultants or like?
I would call that, I would.
Because they're not like doing different programs, I guess. It's complicated,
Michelle, I think we have to get back to you on that too.
Okay.
It sounds like we need to think about that.
Okay. And when you say you'll get back to us, does that mean on that page where you answer all the questions, you're going to?
So we are publicly answering questions on the Q&A. We are sending out, if you're on our email list, you will receive an email that the Q&A has been updated so that can cue you to come back. You also can contact, you can email us at tpagrants, TPAGRANTS @amityfdn.org. And if you have a kind of question that is a technical assistant, something that we would give to a grant advocate, someone to work with you, that is who will contact you. If it is something that would serve the community, and we want to make sure that this is transparent, that all questions are answered publicly, that everyone has the benefit of the answers. So Q&A page.
Okay. And is there a sense that there will be lots of conversations? It sounds like maybe you may be reaching out to different organizations if you have questions, things like that, as the applications are submitted, or is that more on rare scenarios if you have?
Honestly, Michelle, we don't know yet.
Yeah. Okay. And last question too, is there any way to provide like videos or like visual examples of the type of work? No. Okay.
Because too many, or that puts
to watch
burden on organization that a tech. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Ed Smith.
Yes, hi, thank you. I really appreciate the thoroughness and the heart of the presentation and the program. I'm with the Nehemiah Project. We focus and help former foster youth wage out of foster care. And we've been operating in this space, getting them housed in various locations in the greater LA area with other partnering organizations since 2017. We did not incorporate then. We basically became part of and worked under an existing nonprofit community development corporation that has a charter bylaws for housing and affordable housing. So in 2020, we decided to take over that corporation because it wasn't really active doing other things. And first we were DBA, and then we became the actual corporate owner. So that corporation is filed under our name, Nehemiah Project LA, and for the state of California, certified and so forth. We also applied with the IRS, but have not yet got the confirmation. And they're very busy. In fact, my staff manager just recently told me they reached out to them again. So this California recognizes us. We have background, financials, history of working in this space, but just want to make sure that for the corporate status, if there's a delay on the IRS side, how might that impact us?
So again, you're not disqualified. If you, that sounds like a work with us scenario. That sounds like a contact us and we will talk about what attachment to provide.
Great. I kind of figured that was what I want to make sure.
Sure.
The other question is, I'm on vacation, so I kind of stepped away a little bit, but will we get a copy of the presentation deck that you did today? I would like to go through it in detail with my staff persons.
Yeah, we will be posting the web. So with this difference, please understand that, you know, I did a live demonstration, right? So the PowerPoint will have screen grabs of the, you know, the application section we talked about, but it's not going to be this. So this, oh, you might have just asked me if this webinar will be posted. This webinar will be posted and the PowerPoint
Excellent.
will be posted. Okay.
That answers my question. That's great. I appreciate it. I'm excited about what you're doing. I really applaud you all in the county for doing this, because so many smaller organizations have had difficulty. And when you clarified that you don't want these big organizations coming in from the outside, no experience, not really a heart, don't know the community, and then kind of partner with someone else and they get most of the money. That's been going on for a long time. I want to say thank you for making sure, and the vetting, make sure that doesn't happen. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Okay, thank you.
If I can interrupt really quick. Sorry, if I can interrupt really quick. So Reginald Laudermill will be the last question that we will be taking. All other questions that are in the chat will be answered through our website in the Q&A.
I think you called my name. Sania?
Yes, you're up.
We did.
Thank you. I'll try to hurry up because I know you're pressed for time. My question had to do with verification of sustainability. I have been working in my community on a grassroots level in conjunction with organizations like Children Planning Council through Los Angeles County, and receiving different trainings and things for them. And I really want to thank you guys. I can appreciate, because usually I can appreciate the focus, because usually I feel like I'm drowning in big corporations that are based on prescriptions from my community that I grew up in, that I live in, that I know what they need, and have been doing it on a grassroots level as a group effort with innate expertise based upon my community's ability to donate our services. So I just started my organization just before COVID in 2019, and my non-for-profit. So how do I fit in with all your requirements when it talks about sustainability and taxes? Can we get testimonies or verification from some of these organizations that I have committed to and participated with, like Measure Age in the early 2000s, and Children Planning Council, and different entities that can verify my sustainability and my supportive efforts into bringing my community into a better position,
so
closing the gaps.
Got it. I'm sorry I brought up sustainability. That's a sore point for many of us. At the other end of things, it certainly PowerPoint for me, please dismiss that from your mental record about what to show us or what you need to do, to prove your it sounds like you have documentation, to show your expertise. We are interested in hearing about your expertise. It is why we have, why we're not just requiring a 501c3, as we know people have expertise. So that it sounds like we will work with you to figure out what document to attach. Yeah, it sounds like you have plenty to share with us about what you've been doing, how long you've been doing. Yeah.
I'm one of these people that do it just because we need to do it, because we need to make humanity as a whole a better place for every individual to live. And we all know about the systemic gaps and disparities. And I just jump in where I fit in, and my colleagues do as well. And so we've never actually required money, but everybody knows that money makes the world go round. And so that's why I'm here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you too for listening to my question and answering. I look forward to working with you all and assisting me with being able to tap into some of this funding to do what I do already with just pennies out of my pocket. Thank you.
I think we've got Michelle next. Michelle, BWC.
Am I unmiked? Can you hear me? Awesome. Okay. So I've heard everybody else's questions, and it's amazing how when they ask questions, it's like, yeah, I had that question too. Yeah, I had that question too. So you answered a lot of my questions that I didn't even know I had, but thank you for that information. Here's the question I do have. We have a program because the entertainment space is a lot less inclusive and diverse than it could be. So what we do is we help college kids and college-bound kids with internships. So we don't pay them, but the staff I have has basically been working as interns as well, pretty much because, we didn't have any money. But this is a almost 20-year-old program, internship program. I don't have any funds. We just started it in 2022, turned it into a nonprofit. But like I said, we've been doing this. We have people who are across the entertainment industry. What I wanted to know is, I thought I'd say that, but what I want to know is, did I miss it where you said there would be like a proposal and budget necessary or just an application in the overall process? Is there ever a budget and proposal needed?
There is a budget form, and there are questions in the application where you can talk about your program or project. I don't know that we ever use the word proposal. We've been trying to stick to application. You're filling out an application for a funding opportunity.
Okay.
And there is a budget form to fill out.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dynasty.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys for hosting this meeting. It's highly appreciated. I wanted to just clarify a few things. So in terms of the 7 funding programs, I wanted to see what was the distinction between the youth after school and summer programs compared to the youth center. Because if I'm an organization that has a youth center and we provide a lot of the services after school, before school, things like that. So I wanted to know, how would I know which category to go into if we provide all of the youth development services in a youth center, if that makes sense?
Sure. Well, a couple of, so I think we'll go on and table that question to get back to you. Just a reminder to the entire community, you can apply in more than one program area.
Okay.
Cannot duplicate. You can't send us in the same application for youth centers and programs.
Okay.
Happy to work with you through those. Again, that chart has kind of the definition of what the program's supposed to do. There'll be a checklist of, the kinds of activities, and it's different. Well, I think it's different for youth center. There are definitely some differentiation between programs and youth centers. But again, we will get back to you with a full answer to that question.
Okay, I appreciate that. But, and I did see that checkoff list, like, so if we were a youth center, it does let you know if you provide tutoring or what you're actually doing as a service provider. So that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
My next question is about the target population. So are we basically talking about students that are in poverty that stay in the Los Angeles County, or are we only talking about students who are who need services from who have been impacted by the juvenile justice system?
So we don't want to prescribe your priority population.
Okay.
We want you to tell us who you serve and who specifically who you will serve with this program or project.
Okay, that answers that question. And then my last question is with the programming staff that are going to provide the services, there's an area about benefits, and say if your employees are non-exempt, what does that look like?
So we have that fringe benefits percentage there for people who have, who have employees for whom, in addition to the salary, they are also paying this fringe. If that's not true for you, put the salary, just put the full salary, the entire salary of that employee.
Okay, and if that person is going to be operating throughout the 3 years, you would just put the number of months out of the 3 years they will be servicing that project?
36 months, yeah.
All right, that's it. I appreciate you. Have a great day. And thank you guys
too.
again. Okay, awesome.
Chanel.
I want to echo everyone's thank you. This has been very thorough and I've learned a lot. So thank you so much. I want to return to the question about a physical location. The work that we do, a lot of it, we don't do we don't have like a youth center, that type of thing. We work within the schools. However, with COVID, we went remote. And so I had to change my address, my official address for the organization, to my address, which is in the Inland Empire. I know there's a place where we have to put the physical location. I just want to make sure that it doesn't cause a conflict because our work is still in LA County, even though I've had to make that adjustment because of going virtual. So I just wanted to know how to address that issue.
That is definitely something we should get back to you on. Want to remind the community that there are places to talk about the zip code issue, because I know the zip code issue is going to be, sensitive. So if it sounds like narrative for your, talking about the zip code, I would encourage you to fill in that narrative square. But we will get back to you about that address issue.
Okay, so I will still include the zip code for the areas where we work, but
yes, of course,
about the physical location of our organization. That's the issue.
Got it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Thanks for raising that.
Georgia.
Hi, thank you again for taking my questions. I did have a really quick question about the non-CFCI funded programs for grants to justice-focused community-based organizations. Are there specific categories that are going to be funded through the non-CFCI funded programs?
So we will know more later, right? Like right now we've got to table all that because we're not sure what's going to happen next. But right now, as far as I know, that's the category. The category is it's not, that's what we have to work with right now.
Okay, so we can check the website for more information later.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. We will make sure everyone knows when and if when that happens, we're going to make sure you know.
Oh, thank you so much. That was it.
Pamela Jane.
Thank you. I have just 3 very quick questions. The first one is I represent a independent charter school, a public charter school that has 501c3 status, and the school delivers its own after-school programs and summer programming. Would that sound eligible for this grant funding?
So we're not here to determine eligibility. I encourage you to apply.
Okay, so there's nothing about being a charter school which would make us ineligible.
That's not in any of the eligibility questions.
Okay, and in your definition of the diversity, defining the diversity of leadership, it says on the application form, board of directors / leadership. In the case of a school where you have a principal leading the school and then governance by a board of directors, would I combine both groups of individuals, or would I just focus on the board of directors?
I do want to asterisk that question, team, for a response later. And I want to say I would include principal and senior staff. I would do board, like if I were answering that question.
Yes,
that's what I would do. I would do board and senior staff.
Okay, and my last question, in the category of after school and summer programs, would a request, say there's a request for summer programming, a request for after school, should we group those together under the one program area, or would that be two separate applications under the same program area?
So in eligibility and requirements, we cannot fund you twice in the same program area. So you've got one shot at this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Okay.
Reginald?
Yes, thank you for answering me. With Inglewood wrapping arms around the community, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. You know, we're a smaller organization that's been doing the grassroots for a long time. You know, problem contract. But my question, I have 3 questions. One of them deals with you know, we do a lot of collaboration, and we have a coalition of people that we do youth programs with. Now, would we have to do a separate application for each program that we're going with? Say for the youth center, we have a coalition that we do the youth center with. We have a coalition that we do youth programming with. Would those be separate programs? And would it be separate? Say for instance, my organization would be the lead on this one, or the religious organization that helps us with this other program, would they lead on the different application?
So we don't want to duplicate funding. So for instance, if you apply in programs and services, and it sounds like you could, and apply in youth centers, we will check to see that the staff you're paying are different, the activities you're paying, right? Like there has to be differentiation.
Yes.
And I want to get back to you on which organization should lead, because I want to get back to you on that. I'm not sure I want to make sure to tell you the right thing. And I need to look at some other documents to make sure.
Also, the second question is, when you asking us about, tell us about ourselves and, you know, getting to know us, we're one of the CBOs that was a part of the ATI Incubation Academy that your organization mentored. So,
oh, that's fantastic.
You know, you guys prepared us for situations such as this. So would that be something that's taken into consideration on the applications side?
So Amity is not reviewing any of these applications. And if I were the grant writer, for example, I think I would list that to talk about, you know, all the things my organization has done to improve our capacity or to be a better, you know, I might talk about that. But nobody on the Amity side is going to see that you're an ATI participant and say, oh, we're going to have independent reviewers. And that's not a scored, right? That, how will you know? Like all the, you know, most of the required questions are scored. None of the insurance questions are scored. We say that in the application. But for instance, something like that would not be scored, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. Well, you answered the last question for me. Thank you for your time. Okay. And we really appreciate this opportunity.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. Mr. Loudermill was our last question. It's 2:11. Joanne?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It was really nice to hear folks' questions and their passion for the work that they do. And thank you for your time, and have a great rest of your afternoon. And we will post the questions on our website. Please visit our website. The answers. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.